And all please remain standing for a brief moment of silence.
Mr. Chairman, may we keep in our thoughts gentleman who worked with the sheriff, Mr. Ramsey, who passed away. If we can keep his family in our thoughts, and thank you for that.
Absolutely. Thank you. Vanessa, please call the roll.
Commissioner Spielvogel?
Here.
Commissioner Vogler?
Here.
Commissioner Boyd?
Here. We have quorum. I want we're being live streamed, being broadcast through YouTube for public consumption. Hi, Debbie. Public comment, row officer reports and comments. Perry, do you have anything to report above and beyond what's already on the agenda?
No.
Thanks for, like I said, thanks for coming down today. We appreciate it.
You're welcome. Nice being here.
Public comments. Scott, do you have anything you want to address
I do not.
publicly? Amy, any problems with us?
Uh-oh. Now you put it that way.
Yeah, you only get 5 minutes.
Hearing grievances. Wait for Festivus. I think we have a meeting on one. All right, moving on to fiscal and contractual. We have no repository properties up today. We have no advertising or visual proposals. We do have the receipt of 2 proposals for our 2022 tax anticipation note. I'll note that this is a note that is routinely taken out by the county every year. What it does is it funds county operations until such time as tax revenue starts rolling in late March, early April. So in other words, this year, based on our current cash balance, we put out to the banks. We're looking to take on $2.5 million in short-term tax anticipation note debt, again, to finance those general operations in January and February until that tax revenue starts rolling in. Again, very routine. We do this every year. We received 2 proposals back, one from West Banco, the county's bank, at 1.1% interest rate, and the other from Huntington Bank at 0.92%, not 92%.
Yeah.
0.92%. And I'll note that both of these actually are payable. We don't have the right to pay them in pieces. We have to pay both of them at the same time. Although to my knowledge, looking at these, there were no early payoff penalties. That being said, what I'd like to do here, and I'll open the floor up for any discussion you might be had with it, is I'd like to refer these to our solicitor, to the controller's office, for them to take a look over them. And then we can come back to that next week. We can address that then and get moving on the trend. Does that sound like
Works for me.
Sounds good, yes.
Would you like a motion to table?
I don't think we need one today because the only thing we really did was receive them. I'll tell you what, let's do a motion.
Do we have to
table.
accept, right?
Let's do a motion. Yeah, let's do a motion to table this until next week and refer to the appropriate administrative officials. I'll take that motion.
So moved.
Second. A motion is second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, question on the motion. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. And again, we'll refer those to the solicitor and to the controller. Up next, we have a number of warrant registers dated November 23, November 22nd, November 18, November 17, November 16. I'll give my colleagues probably more than a minute to check those over. And then I'll take a motion to accept and file the warrant register. The warrant register is a culmination of the county's fiscal process. How that process works is actually in late December, we set the budget, what each department can spend on different items. From there, if the sheriff's office needs paper, or actually paper, by example, if the sheriff's office needs staples or ammo or anything they might need, or the planning office needs, I really don't know what you spend money on, but ammo. You might need it. Food, fencing for Quaker Falls, programmatic expenses, etc. They draft up, or mental health. I don't understand the mental health network. I probably should be in it. But for purchase services for
I'll
human
make that
services
motion.
center. What's the 302? I think he can spot. One of these guys can spot 302.
We don't see people that are willing to be true.
But What happens is they fill out a purchase order to the effect of paying for whatever they need to pay for. That purchase order is then sent down to the controller's office, where the controller checks to make sure that the money is in the line item that we set in the budget. They cover that purchase order. Purchase order gets sent up to our office. 2 commissioners sign off on it. If 2 commissioners sign off on it, that bill is approved. Gets sent back down to the controller's office, who authorizes the treasurer to pay that out. So the amount of checks and balances is pretty incredible.
Yes.
At the end of the day, the controller compiles the warrant registers, which show all the bills that have been paid out that we've either signed off on or are contractually obligated to pay out, and we approve them or deny them.
Right. I will make a motion to accept the warrant registers.
Second, we have motion and second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Question on the motion. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Up next, the minutes from Tuesday, November 16th, 2021. Again, I'll give my folks a minute to check those over and take a motion to approve the minutes or make any necessary expedient changes.
So moved.
Second, motion second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Question on the motion. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Up next, we have 2 written communications. One is from a Mr. Roger Sandak of 124 Memory Lane, Newcastle, Pennsylvania, applying for an NPDES permit for sewage. This gentleman lives in Scott Township. The other is from Columbia Gas. They are proposed installation of approximately 13,500 feet of plastic gas pipeline and a regulator station in Wayne Township. And they are applying for county notification of plan land development for Chapter 102 permits. I'll note, as I always do, what both of these are companies, individuals, and other entities are required to notify the Board of Commissioners whenever they make certain permit applications to the state. These only serve as notification. We have no approval authority over such permits. So I'll take a motion to accept and file correspondence unless any comments on it.
So moved.
Second, the motion is second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Question on the motion. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Staff reports. Any member of staff have anything above to report above and beyond what's already on the agenda? Seeing none. Commissioner reports and comments. Dan, you're on deck.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Just a couple things. As we noted earlier in the meeting, we're very, very sorry for the loss of Mr. Ramsey. And Sheriff, please accept our sympathy and condolences.
Thank you so much.
The staff know as well. Very sorry for your loss.
It's tough, but we'll get through it. Thank you.
We also lost a gentleman in Elwood City Borough who was very active in the community for many, many years, particularly in as it relates to veterans. He was a World War II veteran, and he also was the mayor of Elwood City Borough back in the 1960s. Sam Teolis, I'm sure you were acquainted with Mayor Teolis, and very devoted to the cause of veterans in particular. He took a real interest in so many things in the borough as well as the whole Elwood City area. So he will certainly be missed. His one son is currently a deputy coroner, if I'm not mistaken. And he was a deputy coroner, I believe, before. That's right.
Right.
Yes, he was. Finally, the 3 of us get a document that's mailed to us, I don't know if it's, every 2 months. I don't know if you get this or not, Amy, the Center for Rural Pennsylvania.
Yes, we do.
It's a fascinating report because every month or every other month they put out different statistics, and there were 2 in here that actually make Lawrence County look pretty good. The first one, from a public safety standpoint, lists throughout the Commonwealth vehicle crashes per 10,000 residents in 2020. And the statewide average is 84.76 crashes per 10,000. We're at 69.4. And of all the counties that border the state of Ohio and West Virginia, we are the lowest. And we are also one of the lowest in the entire Commonwealth. So that says something for the way folks drive in Lawrence County, a little bit safer than other parts of the
Imagine
state.
if you will.
Oddly enough, the two counties that are the highest are fairly rural. That'd be Bedford County and Fulton County. You would have thought down in the Philadelphia area, but
Yeah.
just the volume of traffic.
Is it 2-car accidents or is it single-car accidents?
Just says vehicle crashes.
Because what it might be factoring in, quite frankly, are deer and elk.
Yeah, that could very well be.
Yeah.
So that, again, that speaks well, but more importantly, the other document that they put out involves the percent change in residential property transfers from March through December of 2019, which of course was pre-COVID, and then March through December of 2020, which was during COVID. The statewide change during that time was minus 2.3%. Lawrence County had an increase of 2.2%, and we were the only county bordering the state of Ohio and West Virginia that saw an increase. Mercer County had a 7% decrease. Beaver County had an 8.9% decrease. Washington County had 19.5% decrease. Greene County had an 18.7% decrease. Crawford, 1.4% decrease, and Erie, 5.3% decrease. So again, in the far west, we were the only county that saw an increase in residential property transfers. Now, I must note, full disclosure, Butler County had a 12.3% increase in theirs. But, and then around the state, it looks as though, as you might expect, out in Northeast in the Pocono area, they saw significant increases. But in the Philadelphia area and Southeast, pretty significant decreases. So it speaks well for Lawrence that we were the only one in the far west that saw a positive change in residential property transfer. So I just wanted to bring those statistics to light. Thank you for allowing me to do that.
Absolutely, thank you for. Loretta, you have the floor.
I have nothing, thank you.
All right, I'll briefly, number one, I want to reiterate, we are deeply sorry for the loss of Deputy Ramsey. You look at all the different comments, all the different prayers and posts that people generated about him, and well, I didn't have the opportunity to interact with him to the extent, obviously, that some other.
He's a great guy. I hired him.
Yeah.
I hired him in the department, and he was just a great person, great deputy.
He'll be
He'll be sadly missed. I mean,
very much.
very much.
Very much. Number two, this is a more positive thing. I was down in Elwood City last night. I don't get to Elwood City very often, just by virtue of my living on literally the exact opposite side of the county. But they have done such a phenomenal job in bringing Lawrence Avenue back. You walk down there, they've got storefronts open past 8 o'clock. They have storefronts open, period. It's well lit. You feel safe walking through the downtown. There's a small town feel there that they're working to cultivate and bring back. And I just wanted to comment again. I need to get down there more. But what a great job they're doing down there and targeting their revitalization efforts. I just wanted they got a good council down there. They got a great borough manager, good mayor. We certainly appreciate their efforts. Last thing I want to comment on is we will be introducing the 2022 budget this time next week. We'll have a PowerPoint proposal. We'll be going over some of the stuff that's in it. I will say that I'm still running expenditure models to model out our expenditures over the course of the next couple of years through 2026. I will say our revenue predictors, our total revenues for next year are predicted to decrease at 1.29%. That's both taxes, fee revenues, any ancillary revenues that we might receive. Our tax revenue is actually projected to increase, but overall our fees are declining. I largely assume that is characteristic of, quite frankly, the declining population. But we'll be presenting that full document next week. It'll all be done. We're right now still have to bridge a $175,000 gap because again, those revenues are decreasing, but we're working diligently at it, and I'm looking forward to, as I know my colleagues are, to presenting that document next week. That's all I have. Up next, we have our planning director, Amy McKinney, for a couple different resolutions. Number one is resolution for discussion possible approval for the side yard program. Amy, how you doing today?
Good, how are you?
I'm doing good. Thank you, by the way, for sending that Zoom link earlier.
Yeah, absolutely.
What do we have going on?
So first resolution, this is in regards to some of the exempt properties that are owned by the commissioner going back to the treasurer's sale back in 1944. We had a gentleman come in interested in purchasing a property, which we thought it was in the repository, and found out that it's one of the exempt properties, but there's also an additional 5 properties that are exempt. So we asked him and approached him if he wanted to purchase all of them under the side yard program through the redevelopment authority. Took some time to think about it, and he's going to purchase them all. There's one that he did not want, so there's still one that will be out of that whole list that from the exempt properties. That
Can we do a 5, get 1 free?
Actually, we tried that. We tried that. But
What's the issue with this? Like,
I think it is a it's a good one.
Okay, oh gosh,
So,
okay.
so these are, one of them I think is in the repository. There's one additional one that's in the repository, but these are all of the exempt properties, commissioners.
Okay.
So what will happen is once you approve this, and we'll do the deed to the redevelopment authority, and then the redevelopment authority will work with him to deed these properties over to him under the side yard program. And it is our intention to market these. There are additional properties that are still, identified as exempt, county owned by the county commissioners. We're going to start reaching out to them, sending them letters, asking if they're interested in
Right.
purchasing it under the side yard program.
That sounds great.
I'll just add to that just to give a little bit of context. Pre-1944, whenever an individual did not pay their taxes as opposed to it going to the county repository, the property was taken on by the county itself and sold directly through the county. After 1944, they moved to the repository model, which is a model we still have today, where the county is the trustee of the property, but not the owner of the property. And we have no legal standing really to do anything relating to the maintenance of repository properties. These properties, which we do own, it's a little bit of a different story. And again, we're working diligently more specifically, Amy's, you're working diligently, we're really not, to offload these properties. So we do, I do thank you for your efforts.
Absolutely, yeah.
Any questions, comments for Director McKay?
No.
Just a very minor technical thing. I would like to ask that somewhere in this resolution, that it be noted properties are located in the city of Newcastle, if you folks would all be agreeable. I realize it does say North Scott Street, and I don't believe there's a Scott Street anywhere else, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, we can fix, that's like, fix it and just after,
Assuming
I
my
can put to you
fellow
Newcastle.
commissioners would agree.
We'll fix it and I'll email it up to you. That's fine.
Thank you so much.
Vanessa, what resolution is this?
313.
We're on to 365 by the end of the year. I will take a motion to approve resolution 2021-313 with Amy and Vanessa exercising discretion to put in that resolution somewhere at some point that these properties are in the city of Newcastle.
So moved.
Second. A motion is second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none. Question on the motion. Vanessa, please call the roll.
Commissioner Steelvogel?
Yes.
Commissioner Vogler?
Yes.
Commissioner Boyd? Carries.
Thank you. Up next, resolution for discussion possible approval to enter into an agreement with LCSS for CDBG program Shenango Township. Amy, what's going on?
Well, you guys know the LCSS is redoing, the old YDC site, on Fruit Mill Road. Shenango Township has allocated a number of dollars to them to help with, ADA accessibility, removing architectural barriers, doors, ramps, and now they're also doing some work inside. DCD wants us to have an actual contract, with them, which, she sent you the contract, right?
Yeah,
Did
I
she?
have
Yeah.
the contract.
She has the contract. So this is under 2 fiscal year contracts actually with DCD 17, which we had to do a modification and it was approved, and actually they've already invoiced us for the money. And then 2020, which is a new contract, which we just got a couple months ago actually, for them to do the public building improvement. So they'll basically do all the work. They'll work with the contractors, they'll do all the bidding of the workout, and we will pay them. It's all under DCD's, CDBG contract, no county dollars at all.
I want to note here, as I usually do when it comes to CDBG, that the county is, well, we control our own CDBG dollars, our own allotment of CDBG dollars. We're also the administrative entity for Shenango Township, Union Township, and Elwood City Borough. Our role as the administrative entity for those specific municipalities is not to determine which projects those CDBG funds are expended on, as we do with our own allocation of CDBG dollars, but it's to administer those projects that the governing bodies of those municipalities select. And so that's what we're doing. You'll also note too that the city of Newcastle is not administered by the county. We don't control the money that goes to the city of Newcastle. That is entirely up to city council to expend as they see fit, and it's up to the city to administer that program. But this specific one, I'm assuming Shenango supervisors are.
Oh, absolutely, yeah, they were on board with all of this, yeah. I look to them to give me the okay, and then I just do the work for it. So.
Any further questions or comments on this? No. I'll take a motion to approve resolution 2021-314.
So moved.
Second, motion is second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Question on the motion. Dennis, please call roll.
Commissioner Steelvogel?
Yes.
Commissioner Vogler?
Yes.
Commissioner Boyd?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Thanks, Amy.
No, thank you guys. Thank you.
We have
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
two CYS resolutions on the agenda for today. These are the standard format for CYS. I will note I don't have information pertaining to exactly what we're contracting with these individuals for.
Right.
And there is not a representative CYS present. Seeing as both of these state that costs are only incurred only if the provider or service is being used by Lawrence County Privy Agreement. In other words, these aren't program funded.
Right.
They're service based. In other words, if CYS exercises discretionary authority to utilize these, that's the only time it will be billed. Because of that language, I personally have no issue voting on these today. However, if either one of you would like to put these on hold and wait until a CYS representative would be present, I also understand that as well. What are your thoughts on that?
I'm fine with it.
If you're both fine, I'm fine. It would be helpful or beneficial if they could be here, but I also realize that maybe time of year and staff issues perhaps precluded them from being here. So
Right.
if you both have a comfort level, I'll go along with that.
Okay. So we'll make Allied Coordinated Transportation Services Act 2021-315. And Every Child Inc. 2021-316. I'll just take those together unless you have anybody has an objection to that. I'll take a motion to approve resolutions 2021-315 and 2021-316.
So moved.
Second.
A motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, question on the motion, Vanessa, please call the roll.
Commissioner Steelvogel?
Yes.
Commissioner Vogler?
Yes.
Commissioner Boyd?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Up next, we have Director Baldwin with Mental Health and Developmental Services for a couple different contracts. Scott, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Good to see you as always. What do we have going on with, we'll do thoughtful needs and then iron and string life enhancement.
Okay. Yeah, and really, these are new contracts, and like most everyone else with the employment shortage, we had to expand our provider network just to meet need. So this is a result of that. I'm sure I'll be back here in another month with the same thing. So thoughtful needs. This is a new contract. They're located in Hermitage, Pennsylvania, and the contract will run from July 1st, 2021 to June 30th, 2022. Contract is not to exceed $30,000 and is paid through the Human Service Block Grant funding. Thoughtful needs, they provide in-home and community services, which is a lot of our providers do that. This would be like a companion services, skill building, teaching consumers how to clean and how to shop and how to budget. So we just needed to add it in there to meet need.
That covers both of them?
The second one's a little different.
Okay, you want to do the second one too, and we'll just
Sure, whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this is a new contract between Lawrence County NHDS and Iron String. Iron and String, also called the Purple Cat. They're located in Louisville, Ohio. So if you're actually, it's a pretty neat place. If you're driving on 422 just past New Bedford into Ohio. It used to be a car dealership on the right. It's an old red barn. That's where they're located. It's a pretty nice facility there. But this contract runs from July 1st, 2021 to June 30th, 2022. Contract is not to exceed $30,000 and is paid through Human Services Block Grant Fund. And the Purple Cat, they do training and coaching. They have activities like gardening. They actually have a little radio station that they do activities with. But they also do employment skills, teaching consumers how to garden, how to do lawn care. So it's a nice program. And we also pay for the transportation.
Thank you. Questions, comments? No. I'll take a motion to approve resolutions 2021-316 and 2021-317.
So moved.
Is that?
317.
It's the numbers.
Oh, is it
Try the numbers
318?
again.
317 and 318.
Reset. Oh, you know what happened? I put these two CYS resolutions together
Under one.
and I had,
Yes.
16 under 15 there. So thank you for catching that.
And I believe Commissioner Spielvogel did make the
Yes,
motion.
I
I'll
did.
second the motion.
All right, 317, 318. Switch that report for the next one. All right, we have a motion and further discussion here. None. Question on the motion. Vanessa, please call the roll.
Commissioner Spielvogel?
Yes,
Commissioner Vogler?
Yes.
Commissioner Boyd?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thanks, Scott. Appreciate it.
thank you.
This next one is actually a really interesting one. It's a resolution to discuss and approve and enter into agreement with Pale Blue Eye Productions for use of the McConnell's Mill Bridge for the movie title The Pale Blue Eye, which they had previously been filming up at Westminster. I believe it's Christian Bale, which is kind of cool. It's actually interesting, the impact of film on tourism. When you look at different movies that have different scenes set in different places, whenever those movies come out, the areas that they feature actually usually see an uptick in tourism. And so to that end, it's very cool that Lawrence County's McConnell's Mill Covered Bridge, which is owned by the county,
Yes,
is going to be featured in this movie. And I'm hopeful that at some level it will generate a little bit of uptick in interest for specifically McConnell's Mill, and hopefully the surrounding communities, bringing some economic dollars to our community. If not, we're in a movie.
there you go.
So, that's the worst case scenario.
Great.
I will note that my colleagues have had a lot more involvement in this than I have, that the date that was set for a meeting with the producers of Pale Blue Eye, there was a meeting between the county, the producers, and Slippery Rock Township as they control the road that surrounds that bridge. I was unable to attend that. I had a meeting over in Butler. My colleagues, I believe all three of you did attend that. So to that end, is there anything that anybody wants to mention that maybe I didn't cover? Because again, you've had more involvement in this than I have.
Actually, Joe's had two meetings.
Right, yeah, defer to him, I mean.
No, I don't think anything that would be overly surprising. The positives for us as a county in looking at our bridge is generally at the end of filming, which the date slipping my mind, maybe December 12th was the last day. But the inside of the bridge will be repainted, and so it saves us a little bit of labor cost maybe. And the bridge will be closed for a couple weeks, a 3-week period also, which should have already began. So
Or is it this week?
I was out there, actually, I drove past on Thanksgiving Day on my way to my son's in Pittsburgh, and it is closed, the bridge is closed. They have some equipment up at the upper parking area. And then you might recall, they said they were gonna be putting mulch along
Yes.
some of the roads. They have done that.
Oh, wow, okay,
So it almost looks like a dirt road.
yes.
Went down and drove on it. Your first meeting did include people from the company.
yes,
The second meeting, which as Commissioner Boyd mentioned, the folks, the supervisors from Slippery Rock Township were there, as was the deputy park director for
Yes.
McConnell's Mill. But that second meeting did not include.
that's correct.
So Loretta and I haven't met those folks, but Joe did. I think he took a screen test.
He'll be in it.
Absolutely. They said I was too ugly. I was going for radio. But a couple things to note would be, first and foremost, some of the signage is gone, will be covered up it will be replaced. Everything will be replaced, the expectations and legally, what's allowed down there. So that would be the major thing there is, there would be a closure. However, emergency vehicles would be allowed to pass at any time during the, even the filming. They would stop filming and accommodate any emergency vehicle that needed to get down there. Great.
Just a little positive, little fun thing for Lawrence County.
Right,
Absolutely.
yeah. But a lot of work behind the scenes,
Amazing.
putting it together that,
I think they have their crews like hundreds of
Yes,
people. I
yeah.
mean, it's not a small production. So
I recall you're saying, or maybe they told us, they have to, the interior of the bridge, which is of white, it's painted white, for filming purposes, that wasn't gonna work for them. So they had to either put temporary coverings or maybe even
Yes,
paint it
that's right.
temporarily. And as you said, they'll go back and refinish it in that white color. The other thing I noticed, there were a couple, down by the mill, there were some benches that had actually, the top part of the benches had been removed. Just again, because I think they're taking, it's back, it's set in the 1800s, does that sound right?
it is. I believe the early mid 1800s. And what they'll do with the signage and the benches and things such as that, they'll take the tops off while they're filming, and then they'll cover the post. They'll leave the post in the ground, so
Right.
nothing will be moved that way. But they'll cover them in some type of wood or brush or something.
Posts were there, you're absolutely right. The tops were gone, but the posts were there.
Yes.
Of course, that's the park owns those.
Yes.
As you noted, you both noted, our ownership begins and ends at the bridge. Township maintains the roads, but the rest of it's the park. It's fascinating.
And I think even the
Yes.
guide rail, they were doing some safety
Mhm.
stuff in different locations, but they will take the top of the guardrail off and cover those, each post that it connects to while they're filming.
Now, what they do at the college? Are you aware of what they did up?
I don't know what they did. How long has the college been there? When was it founded?
1857, but don't hold me to the, I should know that since I went there. But 1850s, we'll put it that way.
So it's still a period actually. No, it's I guess, I think very positive thing for Lawrence County. Hopefully, tying in tourism that generates custom foot traffic up in New Wilmington.
I also should note our county engineer, Bill Humphrey from Taylor Engineering. I think he was at both meetings.
He was.
He was at the one we were at.
Yes, he was with us.
And we've asked them and required them to give us all of the assurances in writing as far as any type of insurance coverage, that sort of thing.
Yes.
With that being said, I'll make that resolution 2021-319. And I'll just read it. Therefore, be resolved by Lawrence County Board of Commissioners enter a professional contract with Tail Blue Eye Productions for the use of the bridge. I will take a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
We have motion and second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Question on the motion. Beth, please call the roll.
Commissioner Steelvogel?
Yes.
Commissioner Vogler?
Yes.
Commissioner Boyd?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Now for the money. First on deck today, resolution 2021-320. This is just transferring $10,000 from APO house arrest monitoring to court-appointed attorneys. I think we've been over this in recent weeks. There have been some increased costs out of court-appointed attorneys due to some higher profile cases, some more murder cases. Otherwise, just a larger caseload. I remember they were backed up for a year because of COVID.
Right.
And so as a result, we're having to transfer a couple more dollars into that account, and we were able to find it out of another court account in the adult probation office. So unless there's any questions or comments on that, I will take a motion to approve 2021-320.
So moved.
Second.
Motion is second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Question on the motion. Beth, please call the roll.
Commissioner Steelvogel?
Yes.
Commissioner Vogler?
Yes.
Commissioner Boyd?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Resolution 2021-321. We're moving $5,000 from Central Services Miscellaneous Admin to COVID maintenance. And what this is for is in the budget. Maybe I was too optimistic and hoping that COVID would be gone by November.
Weren't we all?
And so I only included 10 months of funding for our cleanings, our routine cleanings here at the courthouse. So this $5,000 covers us through December, at which point we'll have a new budget. So I'll take, unless there's any questions or comments on that, I'll take a motion to approve 2021-321.
So moved.
Second. The motion is second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Question on the motion. Vanessa, please call the roll.
Commissioner Steelvogel?
Yes.
Commissioner Vogler?
Yes.
Commissioner Boyd?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. I'll try to go through these as quickly as possible. First on deck, from Act 44, this is not the general fund. Act 44, which is one of our transportation funds specific to county-owned bridges and actually roads, we don't have any. From that Act 44 contingency of salary of engineer, there was some increased costs associated with Banks Bridge construction. There were some problems that they found there that they had to remediate, which in turn caused more engineering costs to be incurred.
Hey, do you want to make note of, or were you going to, about later this week?
Yeah,
Is that it triggered,
yeah. I remember when you were talking about the McConnell's Mill Bridge, I thought we'd save it to the end.
Okay.
Yeah. That's what we're doing for that. Commissioner contingency to cable, $430. This just covers the cable and the employee lounge. There was some increase in fees over this year that I didn't take into account in the budget, so we're just plugging that gap. District attorney, this is Josh, just kind of cleaning up his budget a little bit. Criminal investigations, the witness fees for $700, travel expense prisoner witness fees for $21.50, travel and training witness fees for $21.50 for a total transfer of $5,000. He had to retain an expert for a specific court case. Experts cost money, and he moved some money around internally in his budget to cover that expense. So that covers C, D, and E. Domestics, again, this does not come out of the county general fund. They have their own fund because they're funded at 66% through the state. Taking money from their contingency to land and building rent for $1438, from contingency to their vehicle expense for $1,000, from contingency to subscriptions to books for $215, and from contingency to equipment maintenance and repair for $1380, from contingency to telephone internet for $595. They have pretty large contingency, if you can't tell. And again, contingency is just excess revenues that we anticipated receiving out of domestics that is plugged into there because at the time of the budget, there weren't expenditures associated with it. But again, all of that stuff is 66% funded through the state. Court transcripts to court-appointed attorneys. This is the same thing that we talked about a little bit earlier. $10,000 going to court-appointed attorneys from their transcripts. For materials and supplies, they're taking $1,500. Juror meals, they're taking $1,500. From juror supplies, they're taking $1,000. From office minor, they're taking $2,500. From jurors, they're taking $500. From stenographer supplies, they're taking $1,000. From interpreters, they're taking $1,000. From maintenance and repairs, they're taking $6,000. From transcripts, they're taking $4,000. From constables, $3,000. Juror meals, $1,000. Law clerks, $11,000. And that takes care of that. I will compliment Mike Ackerman on doing this himself. Very much appreciated, Mike. What's the phrase? You give someone a fish they eat for a day, you teach them how to fish they eat forever. Mike's learning how to fish. So that takes care of that. Again, that's just to fund those increased court-appointed attorney costs. That's all coming out of their budget, which again, I appreciate. Next up, we have mental health, $2,000 from ID Home and I think it's community to maintenance and repairs, and then $5,000 from from Home and community to ID case management for $5,000. Just minor budget. Just keep in mind that's a $9 million budget. So they do move some money around at the end of the year.
Yeah, I think COVID threw them for a loop as well. Some of the services that were typically offered earlier in the year had to be offered in different ways, so system transfers come through.
Up next, sheriff, for materials and supplies to a vehicle expense. Just to basically cover some costs through the end of the year, some increased vehicle costs, no problem with that. AA, treasurer, for maintenance and repairs to postage for $3,000. And the reason for that is, God love him, it's dog law. God bless you, Rich. We will not get reimbursed for postage until spring of 2022 for dog license applicant. I will say this, he is, God bless Rapone, because he is tenacious about this stuff. I remember we were mid-COVID. He came into my office at one point, all concerned about $5,000 for the dog walk they were worried about getting reimbursed for. So I mean, the guy does, God bless him, watch every penny. Juvenile probation, contingency, travel and training. They purchased some simunition training equipment. I don't know what the hell that is. I hope Nico does, but they're getting it. And then last but not least, maintenance, other improvements to materials and supplies for $8,500. A little bit short materials and supplies. They have $20,000 left in other improvements, and so we're just transferring $8,500 in materials and supplies. Questions on transfers A through CC? Hearing none, I'll take a motion to approve all of those.
So moved.
Second.
Motion second, any further discussion? Hearing none, question on those, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. No ordinance on the table for introduction or final action. Next commissioners meeting will be Tuesday, December 7th, 2021, at 10 a.m. in the commissioners meeting room. Again, we'll be unveiling the county budget at that time. Planning commission meeting at the New Wilmington Borough Building, 12 o'clock noon on December 8th. Do we know what they're serving for food? So that's name she was here. That always dictates whether or not they go to the prison board meeting, Wednesday, December 15th at 12 o'clock noon in the commissioners meeting room. I will, as Dan alluded to earlier, we will be having a ribbon cutting for the banks covered bridge up in Wilmington Township. Have either of you been up to it since it's been painted?
Not since it's been opened, no.
They did a just absolutely beautiful job on it. Good. But we're excited for that. We're excited to see Bill Humphrey up there, the folks at Taylor Engineering. We're excited to see the township supervisors who have been really, really good at keeping up the area around that bridge. When is the ribbon cutting specifically? We have a date?
Thursday, December
At 9.
Thursday. Oh,
This
perfect.
Thursday.
So we drive straight there?
Yeah.
Would you like me to see if the chamber would loan us their scissors and a ribbon?
Sure.
Okay.
Absolutely.
I'll call them after the meeting.
Sure. Thank you. Public comments. Perry?
No.
No, nothing?
Real quick, getting back to the
Yes.
bridge ceremony, I did extend, I hope you don't mind, I extended an invitation to Janet Filatico,
Absolutely.
the Tourist Promotion
Sure.
Agency. And as Commissioner Boyd knows, it's open to the public.
Right.
Anybody can come out.
Yes,
Just, watch us cut the ribbon.
absolutely.
That would be good. It's a county icon. They did a
Great job.
Anything further from my colleagues?
No.
Vanessa, nothing? Barry, we're good?
Good.
The direct errors?
Great job.
All
All
right.
right.
Thanks for being here.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Yes.
Seriously.
Anytime.
I will adjourn the meeting.
All right.